Hey, welcome to Faith Stories, a podcast from Christ Community Chapel about how Jesus can change anything and everything. I'm your host, Joe Coffey, and as my special guest, I have my good friend, Mark Laurie. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thanks for having me.
All right. We have known each other for going on 30 years probably, so I know something about. I was actually a part of when you first started to come into faith with Jesus. We're going to go back and then find out kind of how that happened and then the impact that it's had since. So let me have you tell about your family.
Background.
Trish, No, first give me Trish and the kids, and then we'll go to your background.
Yeah, local family. Yeah. So wife, Trish, turned 60 this year. I don't know if I should say that.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have to cut that. Yeah.
Can we cut that? Can we save it?
Yeah.
Save me? And 4 kids. So kind of 31, soon to be 31 to soon to be 26, 4 kids.
Oh, man. And you're going to be a grandfather.
I am.
Congratulations. Good.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Super exciting. All 4 kids. We've been in Hudson in the same house for 26 years. And before that, we lived in Silver Lake for a few years. So we've been going really to the chapel since, add that up, call it 30 years or so. And the kids went to Hudson Public Schools and then off to college. And now they're all out and reasonably productive adults. We're super proud of them. But we've been locals for a long time.
Got it. Okay, so you grew up in Canada. You're Canadian.
I am.
Yeah. You got a green card? Are you? We need to be careful.
Okay. Can I tell my story of how I got here the hard way?
Sure.
Because my kids will get a kick out of it. So I got here the hard way. I had to marry for the green card.
Oh, there you go.
Those guys who swim through shark-infested waters, they do it the easy way. I had to get that in.
All right. So you grew up just over the border, on the other side of Detroit.
Yeah, Windsor. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And a family of 7 kids.
8.
8.
Eight
right.
kids.
8 kids. And then, and pretty athletic family.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So which one were you in the order?
Yeah. So my twin and I were 5 and 6. So I was effectively 6, but 6 of 8. And we were all pretty competitive, but we all did sports of some sort. It was just kind of part of the upbringing. We all gravitated to different sports, interestingly enough. But
were you the only one that played hockey?
So in Canada, back then everybody plays hockey,
right.
But I was the only one that kind of rose to the level that I did. But and then my one brother did track and bobsledding, and my sister did competitive swimming. And
let's get it back up. Like when you say your brother did bobsledding, 4-time Olympian bobsledder.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yep.
And your sister who did the swimming and stuff, she was on the national triathlon team?
She was, yeah. So I think she still holds a couple records at Northern Michigan University for back in college. But then when triathlons became a thing, she gravitated to that, and she was on the Canadian national team for a few years. And oddly enough, I think she's 65 now, getting back into tries. But
wow.
So and then my twin brother played college football in Canada.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. And you played hockey and were recruited out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Decided to go up to Boston.
Yep. So I went to Northeastern for 2 years. Then I transferred to Bowling Green and played for a few years. And then I went over to the States after. Had a bunch of injuries in college and kind of realized my body wasn't made to take a shot here, but then went over and played in Europe for a couple of years, had a good time. And
so I got a couple of things there.
Yep.
One is, when did you realize that your dream for the NHL was not going to take place?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's funny, as I look back, I was probably closer than I realized, but when I was in it, I always thought there's no way, it's too big a bridge. And then I just had injuries. I blew my knees out a couple times, reconstructive surgery and shoulder and wrist and, screwing staples in my wrist. And so I think it was through the injuries at the collegiate level, which isn't near the grind of the professional level. And then so once I kind of worked on getting my body back, playing over in Europe was just, it's kind of like the window had gone. I'd missed the window. Guys don't go over and come back. So I was just there for kind of play a little bit of hockey, relatively healthy. So
Yeah, and that's not uncommon with hockey. I would suppose that either your body is built for that kind of wear and tear, or it gets ripped up.
Yeah, it's true. And even the goal scorers, like the guys who aren't the tough guys, the fighters and the checkers, even those guys, their bodies are just put together. Like they're thick and they can withstand the punishment. And and I think my body just kind of wasn't made that way.
Okay, so you transferred from out east to Bowling Green. You did that for a reason, and that was because your little brother had leukemia. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So he was diagnosed my sophomore year when I was at Northeastern, and then so it was clear he was going to undergo substantial treatment.
16, 17?
Yeah, he was 17, 18. I think he passed. He was 19 by the time he passed. But yeah, so, and he was going to, in Canada, the best care is up in Toronto. So Windsor to Toronto is about a 3-hour drive, 3.5-hour drive. And then Bowling Green's another hour and a half on top of that versus Boston. So I just thought, if there's an opportunity to be a little bit closer for when he's in Windsor, or maybe even visit him in Toronto. And so, so I had the opportunity to transfer into BG.
Now, when your brother passed away, how did that impact you? Do you remember?
Yeah. At the time, I was so mired in my own little world. I don't know that at the time, you're sad, but I don't know that I fully appreciated kind of the gravity of it. I saw a struggle, and he was a great kid too. But I don't know at the time that I fully kind of realized it all. I was just in my own little world, I think.
And you grew up in a Catholic family.
Yeah. Yep. So, died in the wool Catholic, I guess is the term. But, and my parents are both from European descent, and they were dedicated Catholics, and we went to Catholic schools, really K through 12, actually 13 back in the day in Canada. But, so we were all raised Catholic, church on Sunday, and all the formalities that go with it.
Yeah. So during that time when you were growing up, how did faith impact you? Did it not much, or was it a formality, or?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I don't know that I've got the full answer, but I think formality was part of it, but I think there was a foundation. I think a foundation was created, and there's a seed there. We were all altar boys, and we served weddings and funerals, and but we didn't. It wasn't. I guess I would say it wasn't personal,
right?
But there was definitely a foundation there.
Okay, so then you go away to school. Do you stay connected with faith? Hockey seems like a sport where, particularly as you go up into the professional level and stuff, that you play hard kind of thing. So was faith much of that?
Not really.
Okay.
So I ran pretty hard, probably from 16 to 26, ran pretty hard. The norm of what's around you.
Right.
Surrounding yourself with the 5 people around you. The 5 people around me were pretty hard on and off ice. So I was into that, and it was kind of crazy. So the faith.
I remember when we were talking with Tom, I asked you if you ever lost a fight, and you said on the ice, and I said, yeah, and he goes, then you said, because I lost a few in bars, but I was pretty pickled. So yeah, so then that's what I always think. Hockey players ought to wear like buttons that say, "Listen, I played hockey," which means I can fight. So just be careful,
Yeah. So like I said, we ran hard on and off the ice. So I was a bit of I guess we called them back in the day, muckers. I was a bit of I was a mucker who could score a few goals, but yeah, so it was pretty gritty, and the guys I hung with were pretty gritty again, on and off the ice. So, but yeah, we drank, get the odd tussle off the ice.
Were you ever asked by a team to be a fighter to be? I mean,
I
they're
was.
designated guys who fight, right?
So I was my last year of hockey. So I'm like 26 by this point, and I figured I'd come back. So I was
You're
finally
playing in Germany now?
I played in Germany, and then I came back, and I thought, I'm healthy. I've had a couple decent years, and maybe I'll come back and give it a go. So I start at the lowest level. People that know hockey is the East Coast League. So I go down and get a few fights in training camp, and then we're starting in the season and a couple fights, and then the coach pulls me in.
Wait,
He has this conversation with me.
in preseason. You get in fights in preseason? I mean, in practice and stuff. You guys?
Yeah, during tryouts. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So how does that? I mean, it just seems. That is such a funny thing because as a sport, I know when we first started to meet at Starbucks for discipleship and stuff, and you were the first hockey player that I ever tried to disciple. I didn't know where the fighting fit because you would be going, you were working, but then you would go to like a Bowling Green alumni game, come back, and your hand would be all beat up. I'd be going, what happened? You go, yeah, things got a little chippy. And I'm just going, I don't know how to respond to that I mean, should I say to you, as a Christian, you really shouldn't be trying to beat somebody up even on the ice, but I didn't know. So, because it's the way hockey polices itself too, right?
Yeah, and actually, so a couple stories. So one of the toughest guys that's ever played in the NHL was at the time and still is a very strong Christian. And he was quoted one time as saying, somebody's got to protect the boys. Who better than a believer? Right?
Right. Okay.
So, yeah. So that's, he made
that wasn't your excuse at the time for.
Not really. Not really.
Okay. So you got a couple fights.
Yeah.
And then your coach sat you down.
Yeah. So he sits me down and I said, listen, I'm happy to handle myself, but I'm not, again, I'm 26 and it's a long shot that I can kind of maybe make a go of it. And the guys that fight for a living, that's a tough way to make a living.
Yeah.
Every night there's the possibility, right? And who the one or two or three guys are in there. And I didn't want that. I'm like, that I can't. For me, if it's spontaneous and it breaks out, I'm there and I'm the guy, even if it's not me, if it's somebody on the ice, but to be sitting on the bench, just looking and waiting and just kind of.
And they put you in just for that sometimes.
Those guys, they do. Some of those guys, it's not so much part of the game anymore, but yeah, it's a tough way to make a living. And I also felt like I could play a little and I could, but maybe not enough to keep my spot.
And at 26, you were saying, when you said make a go of it, you were talking about trying to make it to the NHL.
Yeah, because I was finally healthy, so I thought I'd give it a shot. But when that conversation happened, I just thought, okay,
this is how he sees it.
I kind of pulled the plug. I'm like, no thanks.
Right.
Again, I'm 20. And a lot of the guys then didn't have college degrees. I got my college degree, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of don't want to do that.
Okay.
Maybe if I was 21, maybe. But
right.
Yeah.
All right. So now your athletic career's over. When does faith start to rise up again in a kind of a different way?
Yeah, in a very different way. It was kind of through Trish, meeting Trish, and then quickly Trish and I knew each other in college. We didn't date, but then when we kind of met up and started dating, it got pretty serious pretty fast. And I just, for me, the whole time I was thinking, okay, I got to be a better person. I got to be better for her, and I got to be better for potential family. So it kind of maybe started my journey back to faith, because I think I had seeds of it, like I said, but it was just I wanted, and I knew there was more out there. So it wasn't so much looking for God or searching; it was more just like, what's my foundation? What's it going to be? How can I truly set my life on a different path?
Right.
I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you felt like you needed, you kind of saw where you wanted to be and the trajectory to get there, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
All right. So Trish is not Catholic, and so she takes you to this church, or just?
No. So we were in Cincinnati at the time. And so we started church shopping down there, again, because I knew there was more I wanted, but and we went to a lot of different churches. We ended up going to a Catholic church because I like the priest style but and we weren't kind of married to the church. We were only there for a couple of years, and then we moved up, and then I got a job at King's Medical.
Okay.
And it was filled with just solid people, solid guys, solid believers. And that really further, I guess, underscored the point and the need to be kind of like them, who were all trying to be Christ-like and finding out why and how, which led me to the chapel.
Right.
But that the Kings was such a blessing at the time. It really was.
Yeah, that's really interesting because one of the things that we're in a series on Proverbs, and I'm one of my passages is he who walks with the wise becomes wise, and he who is a companion of fools comes to harm. I think who you hang around with, super important. In fact, I remember they did a study, and it was really on obesity, and that if somebody's best friend is obese, their chances of becoming obese are 60% higher than, because you will assume the habits of your closest friends. So you're all of a sudden, you get a job by God's providence in a place at a time when you're thinking, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And instead of those guys going out to a bar every night, which could be a different place to work, which would have been easy to
I've
get
worked
into.
at a couple of those since.
Right. And then, but instead you're going, these guys are talking about church and Bible study. So you start to come here. And when, it seems like a slow progression for you. Do you have a time when it clicked?
Yeah. And I hesitate because I'm a slow learner. And it kind of was a slow progression, but it's funny, before I get to that, is just from 16 to 26, hanging out with hockey players and being surrounded by those guys. And then I get the Kings, and there's some kind of realization in the middle. Then I get the Kings, and that really, so maybe to your point there, is just hanging out with people who I saw were the real deal.
That was a different group of people. Yeah.
Yeah. And imperfect, but the real deal for sure.
And part of it too is you're looking for people that want to go where you want to go.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're looking for guys who want to make it in hockey, you're going to do what they do.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to look for somebody guys who want to be great husbands, great fathers, and have a peace. Then you're looking for something else. All right.
Yeah. So for me, it was, that by this point, you and I are riding bikes next to each other at the gym.
Right.
And I'm fully surrounded with the King's culture, and I'm actively now reading the Bible and searching, and I think it's almost kind of like, those paintings that you stare at, and after a while you're like, oh, right. I think I was just thinking about this conversation, because as we talked, I don't see myself as the deepest thinker, but just kind of trying to have some realities to reflect on. I think for me, that's kind of what it was like. I think, it just, at one point, I just, between truly earnestly seeking in earnest, and then in the different culture, and now I'm starting a family, and it really kind of came to me, and the difference between, and I know it's cliche, but the difference between kind of a relationship and a religion is somewhere in there. I crossed over, and I fully just, and then it really starts taking root.
Right.
And then we start the Bible study, and that was just awesome.
Yeah. That was a really good time. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to interview you with some of my other guests, it was so dramatic. It was like from darkness to light, absolute change. Someone's involving rehab or whatever. For you, it's more a gradual thing. Now, 30 years later, like when your desire early on was, you realize, I'm going to get married. I want to be a good husband. I need to be a better man. if I become a father, I want to be a good father. Now, 30 years later, you have 4 children, all of them committed to Christ, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel like that happened in the last 30 years?
Oh,
So you've kind of gotten, I don't want to say anybody's arrived, but if I were to say, to show you a picture 30 years ago and say, is this what you want to be? And you'd be going, that's exactly what I want to be. How do I get there? And you'd want to get there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like by the time you're 28 or 29, but it takes a while.
Yeah, it does. And it's interesting, just the, as we chatted earlier, the trajectory of the guys that I hung with from 16 to 26, the hockey days, boy, some of those haven't ended so well. Some of the guys have gone off and it's been tough. And some it's still tough. And some have made, the business person transition. But to the trajectory that I ended up on and just with the foundation, I think Trish had a lot to do with it for sure. Just as I was exploring the faith and how I could live it out.
Right.
Given kind of who I was to that point in the transition, because it wasn't tomorrow all of a sudden I'm, preaching on street corners.
Right.
But yeah, Trish had a lot to do with that. And the talk about the culture of Kings and the culture of the people that we hung out with. And I traveled quite a bit with Kings, as you know. So Trish, we make HCC our church home. Trish jumps in with all the kids. And I know you know this. This is where it might get emotional. But we talk about it because our kids are now coming to this age, but Trish jumps in with the kids and she gets heavily involved with the church. But it's more the women and the families. And I could rattle off the names and the names, but the people that she hung out with were unbelievable. They were all solid believers, all these little kids. So for me, that was just, I come home to that and I just want to be more, do more, just have the faith really kind of be my own and then, and just raise this family, to be God's tools.
Really cool. It is great for me because I have had a front row seat to it from the times we were meeting at Starbucks back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. And I'm trying to keep you from getting deported for breaking some guy's jaw at Kent State ice rink.
There was the occasion.
Yeah. At least you're almost always playing hockey when you got into a fight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But from those days and watching you become the father and the husband that I think God has wanted you to be, and it's been what's been great to watch, Mark, is just like a long. I read a book one time called "The Long Obedience in the Same Direction," and I think we've talked about trajectory, and trajectory happens with 1,000 little tiny decisions that keep you moving toward a certain thing. And I think, you saw some of the guys that you hung with at 26, 28, it goes this way. It's brutal. It's funny, we started talking about how hockey can break up your body, and, life breaks people up, or you become stronger kind of inside as you grow in the faith. So it's been great to watch you, to watch your family. Excited now you're beginning the next generation with Bo and Jane. So congratulations. Thanks for spending time, for telling us your story.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Faith Stories. We do this podcast because we believe that Jesus can do anything and everything. So if you're listening to this episode and you feel like you want Jesus to do more in your life, then you can reach out to us. You can find the address in the description of the podcast, but we would love for you to reach out because we want to meet you where you are and then take you further along with Jesus. Thanks again for listening.